You're listening to the PR Wind Down Podcast, the show for public relations professionals who are ready to see real change in the PR industry. We are your hosts, April White and Laura Schooler. Let's get ready to wind down.
I can't go to the gym because it's literally, you can't walk outside. It's crazy. It's like walking through molasses outside. I literally couldn't walk with any momentum. It's so hot and the air is so heavy. It's crazy. And it's not ending anytime soon.
Well,
Yeah,
time to do those at-home sit-ups or whatever.
I know. That's right. I did get out a little bit early and I walked 7,200 steps or whatever, but I haven't lifted any weights or anything for longer than I should have.
I see.
So that I can be big and strong.
Speaking of which, last night my internet went down and I have the Elon Musk satellite internet, the Starlink, and they decided that my router has gone bad and they need to send me a new one, but it is not arriving until sometime between 10 and 15 days from now.
What?
And I discovered how heavily I rely on the Wi-Fi to be able to do normal things on my phone because my cell phone reception in the woods is not great.
Bad.
And so last night I was like, okay, I'm going to stop obsessing over this. I'm just going to, do my workout because I have an app on my phone that a personal trainer put together that it tells you what to do and then keeps track of your reps and the weights you used last time and blah, blah, blah. So I go to open it and it's not even good enough reception to open my exercise app.
Oh, wow.
God. I mean, the good news is I've got a couple of trips coming up and so it's not going to be as painful.
Oh, you're not going to be there to...
I won't be there the full 15 days, waiting for the router, losing my mind. But it is incredibly frustrating.
I mean, I guess, all right, so...
And then
I have Spectrum cable. My router breaks. I go down literally 3 blocks and I get a new router.
Right. Well, this is a special router that comes from,
Elon's personal collection.
Yeah, or whatever.
To
Yeah.
you in the woods or on the edge of...
They're shipping. I'm like, oh, they're like, we want to get you online as soon as possible. We're shipping you a new router. I was like, amazing. I was like, do you have any idea how long? And then I get the tracking number and I was like,
that seems
weeks.
Like that. How
2 weeks without the internet?
No, that doesn't even seem possible. What is this? 1990? What? I don't get it.
So what's extra funny is that I moved out of my office temporarily. And so I am now sitting in my empty office because I moved everything out by myself. Took me the long holiday weekend, but now I'm standing on the floor because this is the only internet I have.
Oh, God.
Anyway, it's ridiculous.
I didn't realize you weren't in your house anymore.
Oh, before that I had a separate office?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it to get away from the pets. And then after I got Joy, truth be told, the little one, I just wasn't coming here as much. And I was like, this is starting to feel stupid because...
Yeah.
And it's really nice out now. And so it's I like being home and letting them be able to just come in and out.
Right. Yeah.
So thankfully I have it through the end of the month until I get my new router from Elon.
Yeah. It sounds like it should work out timing wise.
But yeah, it's really funny. And that's why it's blurred out because it's just avoid.
That's what I was wondering. I know it seems like a corporate office in the background or something.
It is.
So did you hear about, I read this the other day because I worked for PwC. PwC comes up in my LinkedIn feed that the PwC staff in the UK are summer Fridays are getting slashed from, I think they were 12 weeks during the pandemic, and then it got cut down to 8 and now it's to 6 weeks. There's only 6 weeks where they have summer Fridays, which is not the whole summer, obviously. This was reported.
What does that mean? They get the Fridays off. Is that what summer Friday is?
I think it's half days actually.
Oh, okay. Half days. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So
but
they're only
and
getting
there's
6 half days
6.5
instead of
days. Right,
18
instead of the 12 they once got and then the
or
8, and
12.
now it's down to 6. So, there's a recent study, that shows that summer Fridays are getting phased out across the industry, the Big 4 industry, I guess, mainly. 11% of North American workers reported having the perk, CNBC reported last month, based on a Gartner survey of 1,100 people. By comparison, 55% of companies offered the benefit in 2019. So it went from 55 in 2019 to 11% of who they, surveyed, which is a pretty good, I guess, bellwether for like the larger industry. CNBC said that the shift could be attributed to the rise of hybrid work and work from home Fridays, as well as companies cracking down on flexible work paradigms that emerged during the pandemic. So I thought it was interesting because I've seen a lot of these types of things being rolled back. And there's a lot of discussion about like, because it is now back to being, instead of a employees market, it is now an employers market, and all of those benefits that had been given to everybody. And in the wake of like DE&I, SHRM, the HR industry association, is also taking the E out of DEI. They don't want to talk about equity anymore. So all of those things that came to be during the pandemic are slowly drifting away. It's a real interesting thing because I've never really noticed, maybe, but I don't think I've ever lived through such a balance of power struggle between employees and employers and benefits and all of that. I think this is the
In
first time
such
I've
a
ever
short
seen
amount
it
of
like this.
time.
And like so dramatic, like, oh, DEI, yay! No, not anymore. Oh, you can work from home on Fridays, no problem. Come back to the office every day. It's such a huge shift. The Big 4, we're pumping out all of these things to try to attract all of these workers because they hire thousands of young people from college all over the world. Well, apparently their business isn't doing so great anymore, and as a result, there's not that many jobs in the Big 4 anymore. So they're like, "Rrr." So from a PR point of view, what do you think? I don't even know what question I'm asking.
Well, the biggest impact would just be in general right now. I think there was a time where when things were booming, I know some of our clients wanted, best places to work awards and things that, that are going to attract great talent and new employees because they were scaling and needed to keep staffing and needed more great people. And so there was a bigger priority placed on trying to get media coverage and awards that were going to make them look sexy for hiring purposes. And that has not come up in some time.
Right. Nobody cares right now.
No.
So do you think that it was relied on or promoted too much? Whatever, 3, 4, or 5 years ago? Do you think that that's just the way the ball bounces? Do you think that they should be careful now because if the pendulum swings back in, January, they're going to be screwed?
Well, with Summer Fridays, the thing that I don't really understand is it technically doesn't cost the company anything.
Right.
I mean,
But they're probably giving people more work, and so they need them to be in the office 5 full days a week.
I get that, but at the same time, I feel like good employees are going to get their work done in whatever way, shape, or form that is, right? It's not like they're going to piece out half day on a Friday and just not finish something. I think they might just be incentivized to finish all of their work by noon on Friday so they can go peace out and do something fun. And I don't know. I feel like it's a strange thing to
I'll put it to you this way. Before the pandemic, I guess I had summer Fridays in theory, but like I might have left at 3 o'clock sometimes on a Friday in the
yeah.
summer. I rarely used it anyway. Now I understand this is in the before times, but right, because I was like, I have to get all of these things done and I'm not leaving till they're done. But I'm insane like that. And most people probably were like, summer Fridays for 12 weeks. I'm done at 1 o'clock no matter what. And at the time when they offered it, what were they going to do? Now they could be like, sorry, like if you leave early, you're, now you're on watch, right? You can't do that anymore. I just feel like the boom is being lowered. But I guess what you're saying is good employees who are conscientious don't
I'm
take
just gonna
advantage of this stuff anyway.
No, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I'm just saying maybe they'll just be more efficient to make sure that they can still leave at noon on Friday or 1 on Friday or whatever, right? Because they want to be able to have all their stuff done. And that way they're not like, oh, I have a full day on Friday too. Oh no, and then it's like everything gets dragged out. I mean, it's just a strange perk to cut back on. I get cutting back on things that cost the company money. I get cutting back on
Raises, bonuses,
events, raises,
yeah,
bonuses,
travel, maybe,
travel, hires, maybe even snacks, free lunches, like
snacks.
gifts. I mean, I get those
Right,
things add up quickly, and especially if the margins are tight.
right,
But this to me doesn't make sense.
right. Okay, so from a PR perspective,
It's bad for PR.
right, they didn't need to do it.
I don't
Right, they
think
didn't need to do
so.
it.
I don't
Yes,
think
I get
so.
it.
It seems like a weird thing to do. Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, cut back
They didn't
on.
need to do it. They could keep piling on the work, and most people would have to end up staying late anyway, right?
Yeah,
So
so
they
why
didn't
make
need
this
to
a
do it.
thing?
Yeah,
Just if they can't get it done before their half day, then they can't. And if they can, they can. Like,
right.
worry
It
about
should
the
have been
performance, but
right.
not
It should have
like,
been an internal message like, "We still have summer Fridays, but if you can't get your work done, you can't leave early."
I
Like,
mean,
that's
yeah, I'm
but
just not
not
a butts.
announced like we're cutting it in half or whatever. Yeah,
I'm just not a butts
there
and
you go.
seats girl. And I'm very much aware that even me personally, sometimes you like taking a break actually makes you more efficient, And if if you feel like you're just, chained to your freaking desk and you have to, you're just, okay, now the next thing and the next thing, it's like your
Mhm.
brain stops working properly. And the
Yep,
thing that should have taken you 20 minutes takes you 2 hours. Whereas if
yep.
you,
And then it's not right and it stinks, right.
and it's
Yep.
like, if you had just taken an hour to refresh yourself and feel like your brain was functional again, then you can sit down and finish it in 20 minutes, right?
You are
It's
correct,
like
especially well,
I
especially
mean,
for young workers who were used to working remotely or on shifted hours, and all of a sudden now
totally.
these rigid rules of the before times are getting placed on them, and they're like, "What?"
What is
They don't even
this?
probably know how to function in that
Yeah.
old framework.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. All right.
I think it's a stupid thing to do,
Yeah. I think
but
most people would agree.
not for all the reasons that most people would think.
Right. Right.
As a business owner, I
I mean,
think
they
it's
got really bad PR out of it, basically, is what the bottom line
yeah,
was, which was
yeah.
like, you
And they
guys,
didn't
like, they
save
just
any money. I can tell you
no.
that, unless these people
Right,
are
and people will
hourly, but
find out ways to take
if
the
they're
time off.
salaried,
Right, right, and
like,
people will find ways to leave
it's all the
early
same.
or come in late or whatever. People will always find a way to get what they want.
All right. Well, PR Wind Down listeners, we have a new segment. And in this new segment called What's Up on Reddit, we're taking it to the forums to discuss the recent topics that have been trending for PR pros online. So today, our topic is having trouble building a media list. And the person wrote, having trouble building a media list, would appreciate some recs. I'm an account executive at a firm that just landed a huge account. Despite my job title being pretty much entry level, I've been tasked with effectively managing this account. It's a company that runs observation decks in cities across the world, and we're doing US press for them. I wrote the entire PR plan. I worked out all the strategy and the pitch angles and the targets. Doesn't really feel like that should be my job, but whatever, they trust me with this stuff, and I can use this work to argue for a raise. I have a great pitch for a company profile, but looking at national business news outlets in the US, I'm not seeing very many features highlighting companies that aren't startups or Fortune 500. I'm seeing political coverage of the economy, clickbaity listicles about the state of the workplace and whatnot. What outlets like to cover businesses who are innovating in their industries? Is there a certain title I should be looking for various editors? I found some that cover entrepreneurs, which should be good fits, but so many of those people are hyper focused on tech and Elon Musk puff pieces. Would really appreciate some advice. So the first response says, I know it wasn't your question, but this definitely does fit into an account executive remit. To your actual question, what kind of stuff did you look at to inform strategy? It sounds like this will be a trade play, especially if they haven't had a lot of coverage before. The reason I ask about your strategy is that it sounds like it already has some holes in it if you can't find reporters who would plug into it. In any case, see if your company has tools like Muckrack or Cision, which will be helpful. Otherwise, you'll have to do it the old way of looking at outlets' websites and matching beats to reporters. If you're pitching local broadcasts or local outlets, look for assignment editors or news desks rather than pitching an anchor. Anchors are really just pretty people. Sorry to any anchors who may be reading this. And then someone else said a reputable firm should have access to a media database with high-tech features, but don't entirely rely on this. The media industry is evolving so much that's becoming a revolving door for journalists as media outlets continue to fold or merge. And then someone else said local business journals, never overlook the local business journals. Someone said, is the CEO slash founder a person of color, a woman, etc., young? There are lots of outlets devoted to covering diverse business leaders. If it's a middle-aged white man, the best bet is local business journal from the city they're based in for a company profile. Company profiles are honestly pretty hard to land. Not many people want to write those puff pieces for free. Maybe try a different angle slash pitch to start and hit a few singles before you aim for a full-scale company profile. And then the last person said, I look into who's covered competitors or written similar stories to the kinds you're looking to place. So this is a very interesting topic. And I agree and disagree that this is an account executive's job. Definitely the media list building, 1,000%. The coming up with the strategy and writing the entire plan by themselves,
Yeah, that's a little much.
it's a little much. It's asking a lot. Sounds like this person's smart and capable, but obviously in over their head a little bit. It's a lot. That's a lot. And I've been there and, thought I pulled it off, but and got
Well, right.
smarter in the
We've talked
process.
about it.
But
Right. We've
yeah,
talked about it before. When you're
yeah.
young, you're just not that experienced and you just don't have as big of
You don't know
a
what you don't know.
right. You don't.
You're like, I
It's
can do
just
this, no problem. And then you start and
right.
you're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Or you do something and like you give it to somebody senior who's like, "What is this?" But I've done it. Like
Yeah.
that's why I'm saying. And
Yeah.
because it's like saying to somebody who's never read, Chinese, here, read Chinese. Like you
Yeah.
just can't do it from nothing.
Yeah. Um, in terms of actually finding the reporters, I mean, that's a trickier one. I always recommend seeing where, first of all, at the beginning of any account, who's covered that client before, and then who's covered their competitors. And then pull all of those media outlets. Yes, some of the reporters may have changed if it's more than 6 months old. But it's like at least gives you an idea of the kinds of outlets that have written that kind of story and then what kind of stories they've written. So you can reverse engineer from there and say, okay, well, this is the kind of stuff they have gotten. I think the advice about is there something, unique about the owner in terms of the owner's personal story or demographic, right? That could be interesting. And then I would say with the observation deck thing, I don't quite know what that means or what they're doing that's innovative with observation decks, but it's like if there's something that they're doing that's really never been done before, like some kind of really cool tech that they're offering or some kind of super high powered, I don't know what's on observation decks, like those lookout things, like the magnifying things you pay for. Like maybe
Right.
there's
What like
maybe
the
there's some
observation
space age
tests
version of that, or like there's AR
on the
involved, or like
okay, we've all been down this road, like where your client wants a story about their company, and that so rarely happens, right?
yeah,
Really, like, so there's other ways to go about it too, and I think it's your CEO. How does the CEO deal with customer service? How does the CEO think about the future of the way they organize their workforce? How do they integrate strategy into their operations? How do they encourage employees to, become innovative? Like those sorts of like big strategic things. And then maybe you can get an interview with your CEO in like with Fortune's CEO Daily or the modern CEO newsletter that a Fast Company puts out. Or sometimes you can look at like contributors to Forbes who write about the intersection of things like technology and innovation. Or I saw the other day, have you ever read The Hustle? It's sort of like a marketing brew type newsletter. And a freelancer had written about a company, but it was a very interesting company. It was about a company who is the only manufacturer, or I don't even know if that's the right word, of music boxes or music for ice cream trucks. And so they did a whole story in The Hustle about that. But it was a freelance writer doing it in like, a newsletter that people read, but that isn't the Wall Street Journal, but that a lot of people read. But it's because the company was so interesting, right? So those kinds of things. Or like, what is the CFO? Has the CFO got a really unique perspective on how they're using AI to do their financials? And then maybe you go to the CFO daily reporter at Fortune. But it's very hard. I mean, for a company just to get a big story about the company, or a big story about how great the CEO is. Like you need interesting new perspectives that are bringing disparate ideas together that people haven't heard before. And supporting it with data a lot of the time too. So if you don't have the data, can you look at Gartner or PwC or some third party consultants? Have they put out data about that? And you could say, as this company that everybody knows says, the data says blah, 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 and our company is actually doing that or actually opposed to that, right? Even better. Is there a local media angle? Have you looked at all the podcasts? So this is why the media list is not easy. It cannot be quickly done, and it is so important. It can make or break your pitch from happening, and it also can make or break the account. If people are spending countless hours chasing the wrong reporters and the wrong publications, you could spend 14 hours and get zilch, or you could spend you might have to spend 6 or 7 hours really going after the right targets for your media list, and you could strike gold in a half hour.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work. You might not really know which way you're going, which is why I think that you should probably have somebody a little more senior working with you on this. I'm not really sure why you don't. But if nobody's minding the media list store, you're not even doing half the job.
Yeah.
And
I think that's all I have to say about that.
That's all I have to say about that too.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, thank you for tuning in for the PR Wind Down podcast. Remember to submit your own agency stories and questions and to share our show with your friends and colleagues. If you subscribe and leave us a rating, it will help us reach new listeners like you.
Can't wait to wind down with you again next time. Can't wait to wind down with you again next time.
I think we should just, I don't know when we started trying to do it together.
I don't know, but it's so bad. I don't. I mean, people
so
sing.
Bad.
There's duos. People sing.
And then we keep trying to do it. Like we haven't learned our lesson. We laugh at it every time.
I know. So I'll just read it.
It was funny when we did it every other word. Like you say can't, I say wait. You say next, I say time. That sounded like a cheer. Remember there used to be those cheers when I was playing softball, and it was like, I can't think of what it was now. It was like, you say blank, I say blank, 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 blank. Maybe I was too much of a jock. I think I was.
I played sports, but nobody was cheering at a softball game.
I was a jock and a dork, so.
And right, well, I could still see you doing a cheer.
And in the Midwest. I would still do
And doing
it.
the wave and all that. You know, go dun 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 dun. Let's go blue. That's about the only cheer that
Okay. Yeah. After I moved all my shit out of my office by myself and then into my house. It looks cute now though. I'm excited.
I've been putting off
Well,
buying and
me and
doing
a dolly.
things.
Me and a dolly. That's it. That's all I had.
A dolly and I, or me and a dolly.
Dolly and me.
Dolly and me.
Hello, Dolly. Well, hello, Dolly. It's so nice to have you back where you belong.
See, I know it.
You're looking swell,
Swell.
Dolly. I can tell. Dolly.
What the hell, Dolly? That's not the.
I was in Hello, Dolly when I was a child. And fun fact, I got the role in large part because it was put on by Stars Over Visha at Iowa State University, and the college kids were casting for the children parts. And I got up and they asked everybody to say what their favorite ice cream was. And I said, daiquiri ice.
And they were like, what?
They were like, that girl, that crazy. I didn't know it was an ice cream and I didn't understand it was alcohol inspired.
Yeah.
I just liked it. It was blue and it was very tasty.
That's so funny.
Like,
you don't change that much.
Apparently not. That's still me. Still me.